Montessori Grandma. Episode 40. Montessori Zoology Part 2. Internal and Other Parts of Animals.
Montessori Zoology Program for Elementary Class Part 2. Internal and Other Parts of Animals. Written and presented by Geeta Vijayachandran.
The Montessori curriculum. Montessori curriculum tends to give children opportunities to learn about fascinating areas of study very early in their school life. Science is no exception, and one major component of a Montessori elementary education is the study of zoology. The zoology program starts with the story of life. Here, children are introduced to the evolution of life. Life started in the ocean. It started with one-celled life and moved on to multi-celled life. That is, from the smallest amoeba to the largest blue whale. Children get interested when the story is said, and this leads to the study of zoology. In the first part, we had looked at the external parts and the stories. This was a final layout of the fish presentation. We had also looked at the 7 characteristics of living things, the 6 kingdoms of life, the vertebrates and the invertebrates, and the first knowledge of the animal kingdom. This is the second part of the zoology program. After we have done the first part, we need to look at the internal and other parts of animals. Only with full knowledge of animals can we move on to the first classification of animals. We will look at fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. It is for the children to look at the internal parts of invertebrates. Plan for internal parts of vertebrates or body functions, as some call it. These are the presentations done with the material. The first presentation is about classes of vertebrates. The second presentation is dissection. Third presentation is classified nomenclature of internal and other parts of vertebrates. The fourth presentation is of 3 parts and deals with function of parts. The first part deals with terminology of functions of parts. The second part deals with more information about animals. And the third part is in order of appearance. The fifth presentation is comparative study, and this is of 2 parts. The first part of the presentation is in the order of appearance of the animal, and the second part is vertical study. The first presentation, classes of vertebrates. We look at the 30 vertebrate cards used in the first knowledge. Sort these into fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. These are the animals having a vertebra. We then present the definition cards about each of the 5 classes of vertebrates. The fish are cold-blooded, have gills, scales and fins, lays egg, or some give live birth in water. Amphibians are cold-blooded, have gills and lungs, thin moist skin, jelly-like eggs in water. The reptiles are cold-blooded, have lungs, scales, lay leathery eggs on land or give live birth. Birds are warm-blooded, have lungs, feathers, lay hard eggs on land. Mammals are warm-blooded, have lungs, hair, live live birth and feed young their milk. In this work, a fish could be dissected and the internal parts looked at, or any other animals that are available can be shown to the children. Here on lesson 3, we have the internal and other parts of fish, and here are the example of 3-part cards. So you can see a picture and a part marked in red that shows that is a part we are talking about. And we have the story card saying their body is covered by scales. And another one, they have the same card with a story, but the scales word is missing. So this is how the 3-part cards are going to look like. This slide shows the heart of a fish, and here we have a question cards and answer cards. The correct label is to be kept on the question card, then corrected using the answer card, just as a previous picture. Other fish parts looked at are gills, eggs without shells, skeleton, and fins. So these will have the 3-part cards as shown in the earlier slides. In the next picture we have the amphibian. Here it's a frog, and we look at the skin, limbs, gills and lungs, heart, eggs with a slimy covering, and skeleton of the frog. So these will be in 3-part cards. Here we have the reptile. Here the example is a tortoise. So some have scales and some have shells. Limbs in some, 3-chambered heart, lungs, eggs with rubbery shells, and skeleton. Here we have the reptile. Here the example is a tortoise. So some have scales and some have shells. Limbs in some, 3-chambered heart, lungs, eggs with rubbery shells, and skeleton. Birds have feathers, wings, eggs, heart, lungs, and skeleton. And these are the 3-part cards and parts that we are going to look at. We finally have the mammal, and here they all have hair. They have 4 limbs, skeleton, heart, lungs, and give birth to live young. The 4th presentation is about function of parts. Here we look at functions. So we take one animal and go through the internal and other parts. Talk through the function of each part in detail. Have story cards ready so children can read and match to the pictures. Do this with all the 5 classes of animals individually. Finally, take the 5 animals together, read and match the stories to the pictures. Children can look up the terminology of functions and of parts. The next presentation is comparative study. Lay out the 5 classes of vertebrates in a horizontal line. Vertically, lay out the cards of the 6 functions of animals below each animal. This helps us to look at the differences and similarities of the vertebrates and functions and do a vertical and an horizontal study. With these lessons as a stepping point, children explore how and where animals live, what they eat, their life cycles, and physical characteristics. This takes them to our next video, the first classification of animal kingdom chart. There are 2 charts, one for vertebrates and another for invertebrates. The chart shows a child how each of these animals are classified. The kingdom, division, phylum, class, and order are looked at. This brings us to the end of the second part of the zoology program called Internal and Other Parts. Thank you for watching. This is Geeta Vijaychandran signing off.
Montessori Grandma.